Well, welcome back to another episode of the TRBG podcast. The Reading Black Girls are in the building.
Period.
Y'all look so cute.
Thank you. Our matching TRBG stuff. Y'all can't see us. We're all wearing our TRBG merch.
Oh, so cute.
Represent.
I love it.
Okay, so let's get into this book, y'all. We read Skin of the Sea by Miss Natasha Bowen. And actually, we haven't talked about it at all throughout the entire, like, not even a comment. I actually was saying something to Denisha yesterday and I stopped myself. So let's get into it. How'd y'all like it? Because I had mixed feelings about this one.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I actually liked it. I don't know if it was just like the fact that this was the first Black mermaid book, which I know there are other mermaid books. What's that other mermaid book we were reading, Niche? The Deep by...
I don't know who it's by, but yeah, The Deep. So there is another one of like this genre, and we love that it is featuring a Black girl because we all wanted to be the Little Mermaid when we were younger. Let's be real. With the fins and all. Okay.
Still do. So
I was living for the YA factor about it too.
YA is
that's slow burn romance.
YA is not my jam. It's not. But you know what?
It's because you're our nonfiction queen.
And that might be why.
That's why.
Because as a young girl, I was eating the YA up. I was eating it up. But now I just feel like, it was a nice change of pace. I will say that.
Honestly,
it was
I'm
different
sure.
than what I used to reading, yeah.
Honestly, I have to agree. That's tea. The YA, I love it, but I think it has to be a certain style of writing. Like, I feel like while I was reading this, I wanted more depth, like the whole time. But I will say, like, 14-year-old me would have been eating this up.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I would have been obsessed.
No crumbs.
Okay. But
yes,
as a grown woman, I wanted more. I wanted more depth.
More.
I mean, it was a good book.
I wanted more from the romance aspect. I wanted her to break some more rules. I wanted her to give more of herself to him. I wanted Kola to give more of himself to Simi. Because that ending...
This was also... It was the first book in the season. I mean, series.
True.
So this is supposed to be a series, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a series.
I'm not gonna
if
lie,
you read the end, there's a
can.
sneak peek for the next book. Mm-hmm.
I was fine with this being the last.
Really?
Because,
oh my God.
Yeah, I was fine with it. And let me tell you why, though. Because I like bittersweet endings in books. Yeah. Because they feel more realistic to me. Because if Simi had got Kola and was able to save all the Mami Wata, I would have been like, dang, that was a real fantasy. But this, that was a lot more realistic. Especially, like, she literally dove off a cliff. And
That was so dramatic.
Didn't even look back at my boy. That is the definition of a cliffhanger. So I was fine with the ending there, but I was like,
honestly, yeah.
That's how she gonna do him? That boy loved her.
Didn't even look behind her.
She said, I'm out.
She don't even want to ask Ashley for...
Send me
out. She was like, I can't do this.
She just dove.
Yeah.
But she was...
And then the waves...
Sis didn't want to turn into seafoam, though.
Took the rest of her tears.
She wasn't trying to... She
didn't want to turn into seafoam.
Which I don't blame her.
I'm sorry, Yamoja told her from jump when she left that island. She said, I'm going to just let you know something right here,
because
right
fine,
now.
girl, but you can't have him.
I see some... I see he fine.
I see what could happen. Let me tell you. If you even think about going through with it, your ass going to be foam. So just keep that in mind. But at a certain point, I thought she didn't care.
I thought she didn't care too. She should have caught that blood.
No, I don't think it's worth it.
She didn't care because the only reason she dove in was because she made a promise to Oloko. That's the only reason she went back.
She had to go back.
But she did that so she wouldn't like turn into seafoam, because she knew if she kept going along with Kola, like she was already falling in love with him. So she was all right, I'm gonna make this deal. So, I got obligations. I'm gonna just go ahead and
I think it was more so like she
I thought that was so mature.
She wasn't gonna be selfish at the end because the consequence would have, or I guess maybe she was selfish at the end. She was like, I ain't finna die for you. I'd have made a deal for the.
I thought that was so mature
good,
for her.
So I'm gonna have to go.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. I felt like this was one of those stories where one action was able to solve multiple problems. So I don't know. I'd never thought Simi was selfish. Maybe that's because I was always on her side, but I didn't really see her as selfish with any of the actions she did. No. Did y'all?
I was meaning more so just the fact that immaturity factor of like, I want to do what feels good. I feel like she was battling between that. Like she had to really be like, okay, girl, relax, which is good. I mean, that shows growth. She did that so many times.
Did. But she was very much committed to
was like, every time he holds my head and looks at my braids, I be feeling it.
She's like, oh, my heart's pumping. My heart's pumping.
But she was very much so committed to her, that hero, that quest arc, that a lot of YA books have. Go on the quest. At the end of the quest, you learn something about yourself, or you just, complete some type of task that's not only important to you, but to mankind. So here's my question for y'all. If this was her quest arc, we know this is also, in general, this is a quest. What do we think the two main characters learned at the end of this quest?
I was going to say, I don't think they learned anything, but that's not true. I think Kola learned to not be so reckless, because the only reason his ass got kidnapped and sold is because he didn't listen to his daddy. I'm getting remnants of the Lion King. Like, y'all daddies is telling you something for a reason. Hello. So he went off. So I feel like Kola learned not to be as rash, because there are consequences to his actions that you might not be able to turn around. Because had it not been for Simi, he would have been at the bottom of the ocean.
That part.
Simi, I feel like she learned to let go and like kind of accept herself. Because remember before she even got with Kola, she kept she would go up on Yamoja's beach, let her little fin turn into a leg, right, and be remembering. And the rest of them was like, girl, that is not what you're supposed to be doing.
Right. You gotta stay in your lane. You gotta stay in your lane. You in the water now.
Right. So I feel like she learned to kind of... She accepted. She's like, okay, I am not human anymore. I am literally part of the sea.
Yes.
And that's where my tail needs to be, pun intended.
With all of her memories that she learned, like how it was so like sparsed out between like the journey that they were going on. And like every time her feet were hurting, every time she was out the water, she was like, yo, man, like, I don't know if this for me. Literally. That's how I felt like she was realizing the whole time. She was like, I'm liking this boy. Like, he fine. He's great. Love him. Love his friends, everything. But like, I'm just not built for this.
Literally
not built for this.
She's not built for
literally not built for it.
But Kola was so sweet. Like, that's why YAs, I just feel like the relationships built in YA books be so much stronger than like your typical romance, because the angst. I was picturing her diving off of a cliff and him holding out, trying to get her attention, and her just like, oh my God, like, do you think he fell to the floor?
Bro
like when
sick.
She jumped,
Sick.
You know he did. He probably was down on his knees.
Like, baby, please
don't leave me. Because that's really, but you got to think though, like, okay, let's really, when we were 14, 15, we was eating that up. Like, we loved the drama.
Eating it up. I was trying to recreate it.
Exactly.
In real life.
Exactly. You would have your little, like, crazy little moments with your friends trying to act this out, how you going to be with your little crush. And it never panned out. But I feel like the YA genre, it definitely is, like, a really strong bond, because it doesn't have... most of the time a whole lot of like that sexual nature that you get with like the adult,
it's like the purest, it's very pure. It's very pure, a pure love, a pure interest and intrigue in someone else. Yeah, for sure.
But I still agree with what Nish said in the beginning, where it's like I wanted more, because honestly, and I hate to bring up other books, but had Skin of the Sea from the romance aspect been giving Legendborn
but they didn't do anything crazy on Legendborn either.
That's the thing. They
kissed.
It wasn't even a kiss. It was it was just even the way that they present. There was just Cola and
Aziza
Simi
would call
were
me
doing too
after
much
every
talking.
scene of Legendborn. She would call me after every scene of Legendborn and literally be like, her voice would be cracking. Like, it would just be like a bit too. And y'all know what scene I'm talking about, on a corner of the street in Legendborn.
Stop, because that's the scene I'm thinking of right now. But even the way that I'm reacting to Legendborn is not the way that I reacted to Skin of the Sea. Or what was that other book?
Within These Wicked Walls.
We read
Within These Wicked Walls.
Within These Wicked Walls.
Even Within These Wicked Walls.
That was angsty.
And they weren't doing a lot either in that book, but it was still
more.
But you know what it was?
So for this, I was picking
the dialogue between Simi and Cola was missing. That dialogue to kind of like bring out that angsty
I felt like
longing and wanting. But they never said
in the beginning.
But they never said that they wanted to each other.
But they wasn't talking about much.
Yeah.
Like, did she have a lot of inner dialogue? Is that what it was?
Yeah. She had a good bit of inner dialogue.
I was reading a lot, but wasn't a lot being said, so I don't know where all these words are coming from.
She wasn't with Cola a lot. Like, honestly, when they first started off on this journey, Cola got snatched up. And she was following after him the whole time. Like, she would like be with him and then he would be taken away. But she'd be like, well, damn, I'm still feeling him though. Like, that's why I'm still trucking along beside him.
I'm gonna stand beside him.
He's kind of fine.
Here's what I will say.
When she saved him and he woke up.
Here's what I will say about this book, which I really, really, really appreciate. You know, I feel like we all like have an interest in mythology. You know, to some degree, we love the Greek mythology. It gives. But to give us like the motherland, give us the Yoruba, mythology. Give us the Yoruba mythology, give us the mythology of our ancestors. You feel me? Like, it was just so good to just be immersed in this. And it kind of like, this is more mythology focused than, what's the other one that we were reading? The Children of Blood and Bone?
I'm not thinking Children.
Did they talk about it a little? They talked about it a little bit or no?
I disagree. In Children of Blood and Bone and Children of Virtue and Vengeance,
didn't they talk about mythology a little bit?
There was a lot.
Quite a bit of mythology.
You think more than Skin of the Sea? Okay.
First of all, they were speaking more Yoruba in both books.
Yeah.
Because they were casting spells constantly.
That's true.
And there were Orishas in that book as well. Like, that one, because I just thought of that book too. That one to me had more. Even though, oddly enough, this one, Skin of the Sea, had more interactions, like face-to-face and actual conversations with them. Children of Blood and Bone and the second one, Virtue and Vengeance, just, I don't know, it gave more mythology. Maybe this book was just lacking, maybe the word you said, niche substance. Like, there was a lot of really beautiful descriptions. Some of the interactions really had me thinking like, oh, this is about to get spicy. But then it would just like, kind of like be
it's very surface.
It's like when you leave that champagne out for too long and it gets a little flat. And you're like, it's like I could drink this, or I could go find something a little bit more bubbly. So this,
I think it could have been a little longer too. I feel like because they wanted to make a series, like they were trying to like divide it up. But it's like,
it definitely could have been longer. It could have been longer.
It could have.
It could have been longer.
I'm gonna tell you right now.
To see more.
If that book would have been any longer, I would be sitting this podcast out.
I
wouldn't have even made it.
Well, the book to me was short. First of all, look at the size of the book.
No. You're right. The size of the
book. And then the words are
so little.
But baby, we was dragging. Okay.
I was gonna say
I barely made it today.
But I feel like this book didn't have as much like action. No.
I think the ending could have been more dramatic.
It did not have a lot of action.
Yeah, and that might be what
felt like, on a quest.
That might be what it made it feel like super short. Because it was only like the last 100 pages where the action was like, you know.
But it was like action. When they found that boat with the Orishas, when they like landed on the boat.
Yes, and they thought it was intense. Boat.
Then they sailed away.
When that little
Cola got snatched
up in the water.
And then she was in the water, like fighting those monsters or trying to tell them to stop. She was like, stop. And they was like, I'm not about to stop.
They found Issa.
It had like pockets of action.
Yeah,
I felt like
pockets.
Honestly,
it was few and far between.
Let's be real. If we had to give it like a pace, right? Would you say this was, we ain't gonna say fast because it wasn't fast. Was it medium?
It was moderate.
Or was it slow?
Moderate.
It was medium.
I thought it was medium.
I feel like it was medium on the side.
I would almost give it moderate
of slow. And that's, I think, my issue. I need a book that's literally, y'all know, I need from the very first page for it to just be like, bam, we in here. And we just keep rolling. Like, it just doesn't stop. When it has those longer, like, pauses in between, like, action or, like, even drama. You know, I love drama. My little ADHD brain can't, I don't be there.
I was reading ahead. I'd be at the top of the page on the left side. And why am I reading towards the bottom?
Do that. Why do y'all do that?
I was like, what's happening? What's going on?
Spoil the surprise. You don't like surprises every day? You spoil the surprise when you do that.
I just couldn't help myself. I was waiting for some crazy shit to happen.
There weren't any surprises in this. Okay, well then what was y'all's favorite part or least favorite parts of the book?
I liked when Simi saved Cola, like the fact that she thought he was dead, and then that nigga opened his eyes.
That was shocking.
She had to have a split second, like, am I about to leave him here or save him? She was. I mean, but imagine, you've been doing this for 3 months. Ain't nobody still been alive.
She was like, this was not in my job description.
And then she was like, okay, well, it's my job to save. It was the logic.
She really
was trying to work it out.
She was like, well, I have to save the souls. Well, but he's not dead yet. So I should still save him. Yamoja came back, was like, what have you done? She was like, I mean,
I had to do what I had to do.
Technically now, Miss Yamoja. I didn't break any rules.
And it was funny because it was literally right after she had basically, you know, when you get drawn in, she was like, come here, we gonna have a talk real quick. It was right after that. And she was like, I mean, you said. And I know Yumocho was done. She was like, and this is why we're gonna have problems.
And she's like, how many times do I have to write you up? First you want to remember, then you want to go get legs again. Now the boy.
That's 3 strikes. She should have been fired.
And then when she like removed her when she removed her little like jeweled mask and like she saw how her face really looked and got all the tea on that, and she was like, oh.
Okay, so is that, because I don't know why, but I had a really hard time visualizing that. Was it giving old girl from New Moon?
To me,
whose face was scratched by Sam.
But in my mind, it was more brutal. It was more brutal.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And
but
not the movie.
Masking it up.
Because the movie, we know that scar wasn't nothing. Okay. So more brutal. Okay, that's fair.
But Eshu rocked her world.
We need to talk about Eshu because
I don't like him.
Eshu is a messy god. He just was with this tea. Like, he was like, okay, Oludumare, he gonna be over here.
Right.
But I'm here on Earth.
He's like, Supreme God my ass. I'll send what messages I want. Like, how are you gonna pick and choose when to do your job?
I mean,
here's what I'll say.
Everybody was like, well, damn, he not listening to me. No one's listening to me.
I think my fave...
It's like, he just is like...
Yeah, my favorite part was when they finally made it to the palace. And they were like, where is he? And the other warrior with him...
They were like, where is Eshu?
I'm right here.
Like, this has been so easy.
Oh my God.
I forgot about that.
Were y'all surprised?
I was surprised. Yeah, I was.
I thought, what was his real name? Hold on.
Isadori? I made that up. You should look it up.
It's Adayo.
Oh, it's too far.
It's Adayo. He was a little asshole. He was a little prick the whole time. And he just was like, this is
surprise, motherfucker. Okay.
Some fries, motherfucker. I'm like, Simi and Cola was like,
they were shook. And I would have been shook too. Like, you been here this whole time?
I knew something
listening to our conversation.
And the thing is, they knew something was off with him. They're like, okay, he comes highly recommended.
But why? Yeah, everyone was very apprehensive.
He's very suspicious. Very suspicious character.
Simi was like, I don't know. I don't feel a good vibe from him.
I don't like it
at all.
I'm not picking up what you're putting down. Okay.
Right.
That bad juju.
Okay. I felt like this book could have came with more because it had loose ends. And I know they're probably going to tie the loose ends back up in the second book. Like I said, you know, with trying to build a series, like I just felt like it could have been planned better. I felt like they left a lot out in this first book that they should have put on this first book so it could hook people in to read the rest of the series.
Like what?
Like what happened with when Yessie and Bemi, like I know that Issa got flown away. Like
he's dead.
He's dead. So is Yessie and Bemi dead too?
So Yessie,
no, they're alive.
I don't think so either. I thought
the
that
twins,
was
right?
extra.
No, not the twins. No,
I thought it wasn't necessary.
Yumbo didn't have to die.
Talking about Issa, yeah, I didn't like that he died. He was actually one of my favorite characters. I don't even think it
with
added
the werewolves
to the
though.
book.
So I think she got.
I don't think so either.
I'm sorry. I thought that was Yinka.
Or Yinka.
She
sorry.
was, from what I remember, they left her in that,
and then she was like,
the volcano with the other massive hyenas.
And we'll see if she's kin or not.
Yeah, pretty much. But she said, you know, there's you guys won't make it if I don't stay and fight.
And she
sacrificed herself. We don't know if she's dead or not.
I think she's alive.
I think she's alive too.
She is because I liked her.
I liked her.
What happened to Bem? Because he made it to the other side of the bridge, and then they didn't say anything else.
Sitting down.
Oh, so he's just sitting there while they went to the palace,
sitting down and resting.
Okay, because they didn't mention him again. They didn't say he died or that anything.
Right.
So I was confused.
But he was also really injured, so maybe he was waiting for them
to come back out. Maybe.
But see, the thing is, the loose ends to me were not enticing enough to draw me into a second book. Because I had forgot about Yinka, I had forgot about old boy, and I was still kind of upset that Issa was killed. So I'm like, what's going to happen in the second? What would happen in the second book? Like, what do y'all want to see in the second book? Besides loose ends.
Semi come back. That's what I would like to see.
As a
Semi
human?
link back up with Kola.
Okay.
I don't know. I her to get out of her deal with Olukun and not be at the bottom of the sea. She got to see her boo Kola for some specific reason. Who knows? I think Oludamara should pop up. I think he should be like, hold on. I'm sorry. I've been delegating to the wrong people. Now I'm here. What's wrong?
Here's the one thing I wasn't a huge fan
and then like another issue pop up.
I would have loved to like start this book off with like a creation story, like a good in-depth explain
Not
to me
just
who these Orisas are, because I had to Google certain creatures, certain ones. Why is this one important versus the other? And it would have been nice if it would have started like, you know, in the beginning, you know,
or at least have a little guide in the back of the book.
That too.
I read another book with like another Greek mythology book, and they put all of the like major characters in the back, and I was like, that's helpful because if you're not familiar with that culture, it can get confusing a little bit.
Yeah.
But one thing I did like was that the Yoruba that they spoke in the book was translated. Because I'd be wanting to know
what's being said.
What you like? What are you talking about? What am I reading? Because sometimes I read out loud or listening to. Did y'all listen to it? Because I actually enjoyed listening to it, and I wish I would have listened to the first part.
I listened to it.
I think I listened to like
I listened
2 hours
of
it, but most of it I read.
Okay. How was that?
Was the read dragging for you, Kayla?
Not really. I think I read it faster than I could have listened to it because I tried to listen to it. I tried to put it on 2x, but then the words were getting jumbled, so I had to, you know, bring it back.
Kayla.
But 1.9 would have been a good spot.
That's the fastest y'all have.
I had it at 1.9.
I've listened to it on 2. There were a couple books I've listened to on 2.2. It just depends on the cadence of the reader.
True. If it's like true American English, you can really turn that up. We be talking slow as hell.
We do.
Yeah, no, but I think for this one, it was at the beginning. I'm not gonna lie, I had it at like 1.8 at the beginning. I was like, oh, this gonna be, I got this. That first little page almost took me out. I said, hold on, I didn't understand a word. Let me go ahead and slow this down. And then it was down to like 1.2. That's the slowest I've ever had it. But then after a while, like I was like, okay, I got this. We good.
I took it up to 1.3, and that was only at the end, and I still was like reading with it as I was going because I was like, what's being said? But okay, so then overall, what would y'all rate?
What did y'all give it out of 5?
I gave it a 4.
I gave it a 4.2, but I would give it a 3.5. Oh. If you could do 0.5,
I think it would be really a 3.5.
Yeah.
But we can't do anything under 3 for Black authors.
Yeah, there's you can't write that bad for me to give you anything less than a 3.
Sure can.
No, for real.
Actually, I take that back. I think there's maybe 1 or 2 books that I've read by Black authors.
Anything by Quan Mills. Quan Mills is an automatic 1 star. So
boy, oh boy. Yeah, no, I'd give it a 3.5, but good reads don't have that. But Storygraphs got a 3.5.
They have point.
Oh, nice.
That's fire. What about Readerly? Would y'all do it as a favorite, or recommended?
No.
I would recommend it to somebody if they liked Black mythology and YA, if they didn't mind a slower pace, because somebody would like that book. Mm-hmm. It just wasn't my
I would really
fave.
give it to a middle schooler.
Yeah.
I would give it to like a middle school
Anna
girl.
Was so appropriate.
Yes, it didn't.
There wasn't
weird.
anything really crazy happening.
Not all. They didn't even kiss.
Right.
And
it wasn't even like gruesome or anything, but I mean, it did talk about slavery and like all that. I really like those parts of the book.
That was the most gruesome
and I
part.
like Simi's flashbacks when she literally flashed to her
I love
death.
that she jumped.
Mm-hmm. I thought that was... She jumped.
She was like, I'm taking my life into my own
girl.
hands.
Simi is my type of girl.
Yeah.
She really was like, it doesn't make sense for me to save souls and not save a real life.
She was right,
like,
though.
It just,
so she was just
what's
supposed
not
to let him
clicking?
drown because I felt the same way.
Yeah.
And look, and she was like, honestly, knowing what I know now, I'd still do it again. And I was like, okay, you
gotta love a girl like that. You gotta love a girl like that.
Yeah, she went with her conviction. I love it. Like, there's nothing.
And she was like, I did it. I'll do it again.
Right. I said what I said.
Mm-hmm.
So
respect.
I give it a solid 4, maybe 3.7 between all of us.
I don't know if I would read the second book. I would probably only read the second book on like audiobook.
Same.
And just like in between when you're trying to figure out your next reading, you're just like, let me just listen to something, to time me over.
Well, and I think it would also depend on what the sequel entails. Because if it's giving us like low-key flashback to what happened prior to all this and then like a quick fast forward to now that I could get into.
Yeah. Because then that's almost more historical fiction.
And we love historical fiction.
With maybe like a little mix of YA. So that would be interesting.
But this would be considered YA historical fantasy.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Correct.
Yeah. With
historical
maybe
fantasy.
another mythology.
Mm-hmm. mythology.
Yeah. Can't
because it was like 1500s, 1600s Western Africa.
I thought it was 1400s.
I think it would have had to be
1400s. Yeah. Sorry,
it was 14.
Yeah. Which I like that. I love going very, and for a YA, the fact that they went all the way back that way.
That's a good point. I don't know the last YA book I read that went that far back and didn't like try to flower up what was happening. Like they're throwing people off ships and they're in chains and some of them are still alive.
They kept it real.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Is there a trigger warning in the beginning of this book?
I don't think so.
That's probably maybe the only thing I would add is a trigger warning. But other than that, I would recommend it to a young lass, even a young lad who's interested, young person. Yeah. There we go. That's all encompassing. A young person.
All right. Well, I think that's going to wrap up our first podcast episode with TRBG. Thank you all so much for listening. And our next read is what? The 7 Husbands.
Some Taylor Jenkins read?
The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Very excited about
Kayla's
that one.
pick.
It's very popular. When did that come out? 2018?
That long ago?
It's kind of old read.
We're gonna get into it though. The girls love it, so we're gonna see what the buzz is about.
So we'll see y'all next time.
It's gonna be good. I can feel it.
We lit.
Well,
I tune into the next episode.
All right, thanks for joining us, y'all.